What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the THC Samuel Show, another episode on the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. To those of you guys who are new, thank you so much for checking it out. My name is Sam, and this channel is basically a lot of things compiled that I just really love. I love real estate, I love art, I love cars, I love music. And I love glass. I want to really try to put all of those things together in different videos, in different formats, and hopefully just create a channel that you guys are getting some value out of, that you guys enjoy. And please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Helps the channel grow. Super appreciate that. And if you guys read the title of this video, I'm basically going to do a little bit of a, I guess, more of like a story kind of style video, I guess. More so than normal. I'm not going to showcase a piece of art. But I am going to really break down how I started my company when I was 23, what that took, the steps that I kind of, I guess, took to get to where I am now at 28, just celebrated my 5th year in business for myself, and just try to share some of those tips, share some of my experiences, and hopefully you guys get some good info with that. So let's get into the video. What's going on, guys? So I don't want to make this video too long, and I want to try to make it as informative and just, I guess, realistic about my story as possible. And like I said in that first intro clip, hopefully you guys find some value in it and maybe find some inspiration, find some commonalities. Maybe you guys are starting your own businesses, and just really want to share the story a little bit, and hopefully you guys find some good info in this video. So basically, I'll start off with a little bit of background about myself. Again, I go by THC Samuel on Instagram, Twitter, all that other fun stuff. I'm really mainly on Instagram, focusing a lot more time on YouTube. Love it on YouTube. So let's get into the video. Basically, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. Right now, I live in Colorado, so I love it here. Colorado's a beautiful state, but I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. My dad was an inventor. He had a number of United States patents when I was a little kid. And I got, like, I guess, a good example of entrepreneurship, or what starting a business attempted, I guess, what an attempted business was like when I was younger. My parents ran a little t-shirt shop, and my dad would try to talk to bigger companies and try to really, like, sell his inventions. I never got the chance to watch someone successful really operate and start a business, I guess, from conception to operation, etc., you know, and sustain that business and really make it for themselves. I never really got to watch that firsthand. So growing up, that's really where, and I didn't come from a family with, you know, any money or means. So the combination of those two things really lit a fire in me to figure out some way to go get it and work for myself and figure out how to do that. So growing up when I was little, I watched my parents kind of, and they got divorced when I was, before I was 10, I don't really remember. So I watched them, like, not really be successful. They weren't really good examples to me, if I'm being honest with you guys. So I tried to find other sources of information, other people, other books and things to read to just feed my brain what I thought I needed to hopefully eventually learn the things that I needed to learn to one day, you know, be my own boss and operate a business, and hopefully just enjoy what I do for a living, really. So I was the first in my family to graduate college. When I was 18, I went up to Philadelphia from Baltimore and went to Drexel. And I was, again, first in my family to graduate. My mom went to college but never ended up graduating. So when I graduated, I got a degree in psychology, a Bachelor of Science, with a certificate in creative writing and publishing. It's like Drexel's, that's where I went to school. It's Drexel's version of a minor, I guess. And being the first in my family to go to college and to have that opportunity to graduate, you know, I guess that was like my main goal, was to, one, make sure I graduated, and then to study something that I really enjoyed. When I first started at Drexel, I studied business, and funny enough, business classes actually bored me to death.
Tariff Act, which anyone raised or lowered, raised tariffs in an effort.
So I ended up transferring majors my freshman year to psychology. I thought psychology was much more interesting. It, I guess, was just more stimulating intellectually. I enjoyed the classes a lot more, and I ended up graduating in 2015 with my degree in psychology. Right away, within 2 weeks, I knew that I had to move. I've been a cannabis patient for many, many years, and that's something that I'll cover in a different video, so look for that in an upcoming video, kind of, you know, why I moved to Colorado and why I picked Denver as my destination specifically. But when I was younger, you know, I've been using cannabis and was in states where it wasn't necessarily a legal medicine, and I needed it to be a legal medicine for me. So as soon as I graduated from Drexel in Philadelphia, within 2 weeks, I packed my stuff, packed my car, got my my dog, and I drove to Colorado. I had never been to the state before. A buddy of mine, good friend Ben, him and his girlfriend, who actually still live in Colorado, they were both graduating. Ben had actually moved to Colorado, I think, a year before. Me and his girlfriend were graduating at the same year, so I decided to move out there, and I rented a room. So in 2015, when I moved from Philadelphia to Denver, I just knew I wanted to be in a state where medical cannabis was legal, because it was something that, you know, that I continue to use and need just as a part of my daily life. And I chose Colorado, and when I got here, I knew I wanted to be a part of the industry, because I didn't want to be, well, one, I didn't want to pursue graduate school. A lot of people that study psychology go on to pursue graduate school, whether it's research or teaching or something along those lines, or practice, you know, whether you become a therapist or whatever, something like that. Those weren't really things that I was interested in at the time. In the future, I might go back to school, but when I graduated, I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to join the industry. I wanted to come to Colorado. I wanted to get some experience. I wanted to start learning as much as I possibly could. So I moved here, and I just started working right away. I moved here. I graduated in June. I moved here in July. By the end of July, I had linked up with a magazine called THC Magazine, The Hemp Connoisseur. Awesome people. I love them. Big shout out to THC Magazine. They're still doing like some podcast stuff and a lot of other media related stuff. So big shout out to the team at THC Magazine. Love those guys. I got linked up with them in July of 2015, and I did like a test assignment. So I guess I'll pause right here and say this is kind of where in the video I get to what motivated me in certain circumstances to start my company, how old I was when I started this company. Well, you know, in the video, in the intro, I was 23 when I started, but how I got to that circumstance or that situation, what steps led me to starting the business, and hopefully you guys find some useful information in the rest of this video. So I did that test assignment, and then I started to get more work with THC Magazine. Obviously, anybody out there, you guys probably know, I mean, maybe someone out there is like, you know, well, careful. Maybe someone out there is like some baller writer that's like, you know, making a lot of money off like a book or something like that. But for most like average writers out there, you know, you're not really making too much money per article and stuff like that. You're getting paid per word. And really what I started to notice is that I would get paid more for my photos than I would for my articles. And I enjoyed taking photos a little bit more than I enjoyed sitting down to write the articles, even though I still love writing. So the time and the opportunity cost to sit down and write an article versus to go out and take photos, I thought, started to shift a little bit more in my mind towards taking photos. So because writing, you know, and just writing and photography at the beginning couldn't really like pay the bills in full, I also got a job as a bud tender. So in the fall of 2015, I was a bud tender at a spot called Natural Selections. I think they've like changed ownership and stuff like that since then. It's not called that anymore if you live in Colorado. But back in the day, I was a bud tender at Natural Selections, and I guess work as a bud tender, for those of you guys who might not know, you're basically like a cannabis professional, so to speak, and expert or whatever. You're the first person when a customer walks into a legal store in Colorado or other states now, obviously California, Nevada, a whole bunch of other states now, thankfully. It's awesome. But you're the first person that a customer like walks up to and, you know, asks information. And especially if it's a recreational dispensary, a lot of times it's people that have never been into a legal store for the first time. So you're answering a lot of similar questions, like the difference between indica and sativa. You're explaining a lot of the basics of cannabis. And also that'll probably be a future video. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys would like to see. I've been thinking about making a video just about cannabis in general and kind of what it does for me. If you guys want to see a video about that, let me know in the comments. Alright guys, so I don't want to make this video too long. So when I was bud tending, I was 22. So let's kind of fast forward. I always wanted to start a business, but again, like many of you guys out there maybe, you don't really know how. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really know how to execute on that idea for just wanting to do it. So while I was working for the magazine, actually on an assignment to take photos for the magazine, I went on a trip to southern Colorado, in Colorado Springs, and I went to this industry company's facility, got a tour and all of that stuff, and met management and the ownership of that company, and basically just had a discussion with them, and we thought at the time that it would make a good fit. And at the time, this is like winter 2015, around November 2015. So that company basically offered me a job. They said, hey, you know, I wanted to start doing marketing and photography and social media and all of that stuff, and I hadn't really been given that opportunity just yet. I was running the social media account for the dispensary that I was working as a bud tender for, but the chance to really level up was something that I was waiting for. So I thought this was going to be a great opportunity. So I moved to Colorado. I graduated from school, just to give you guys a little timeline right here. I'll try to maybe I'll throw it in the side of the video and break it down or something. But basically June 2015, I graduate. July 2015, I moved to Colorado. August 2015, I'm working as a bud tender and as a writer and photographer for THC Magazine and a bud tender at a legal shop in Colorado. November, December of 2015, I get a job offer, and I'm living outside of Denver at this point. So I already moved to Colorado, my whole life is there, etc. I get a job offer to move to Southern Colorado. I say yes, because I'm what I consider a really hard worker. I work my ass off, and when given an opportunity, I really jumped at it, and I said yes. So I thought I was going to be getting involved in some marketing and social media and photography, and really more of the things that I wanted to focus my time and my energy on career-wise, and what I really wanted to do. I got down there, we agreed that I would start at the bottom, and kind of learn the company and do all of kind of the normal jobs that they needed to be done, like cleaning and scrubbing the old Pyrex dishes from the lab and just packaging and just all the things that went into the business that wasn't really what I was supposed to be doing. But went there, happy face, hard work ethic, went there, wanted to get it done, wanted to learn what I needed to learn so that I could then do what I wanted to do ultimately, take photos and stuff like that. After a little bit, and I was totally cool with that. Obviously, I was young at the time, didn't really have any experience, so who am I to say, oh no, I don't want to do that or whatever. So I was totally down with it. I worked at those kind of entry-level positions at the company for about 2 or 3 months, and 3 or 4 months in, and then again, this is just my kind of recollection of what happened. Around 3 or 4 months in, they started asking me to take more photos. Okay, awesome, but I wasn't being compensated for that, so I was still on a ridiculous hourly salary of $10 an hour, which was not enough for me to pay my bills and try to pay back my student loans and just cover everything else that I needed to cover in my life. So once they started asking me to do photo work and some other stuff, because at that point I had been published by THC Magazine a few times. I had gotten my first articles published, I had gotten my first photos published, and I was slowly starting to build a little bit more of a catalog or a resume just on the photography and writing side of things. And this brand was starting to ask me to do more photos, and they weren't compensating me for that. And one day, it just got to be too much, and I walked into the owner's office and respectfully asked for a raise, saying, hey, I want to work with here, I want to do this, but I can't do it for $10 an hour. I simply can't do it. And they shut the door in my face and said, fuck off. They said no. So I, that day, turned in my, 2 weeks. I said I was quitting, that if they couldn't afford to pay me a little bit more, that I wasn't going to be able to work with them. So that's when this all started. So now, fast forward January, February, I am 23, and that's where things start to get really interesting. So when I was 23, again, I'm just trying to do all of this based on memory. I've got a little note sheet here, but I'm trying to do all of this on memory for you guys. In around January of 2016, I was still working with that company. February, I was still working with that company. And then March comes around, and March is when I couldn't handle it anymore. So it was maybe 4 to 6 months in working with that brand, where I couldn't do it anymore. So I decided to quit, and I decided that it wasn't the best opportunity for me. And that's when this whole situation got very, very interesting. So I took a really big risk. I'm not saying anybody out there should do what I did. A lot of people that start businesses do it in all sorts of ways. Some people have family investments. Some people have a large savings. Some people, there's all sorts of ways to start a business. But in my circumstance, with what I was trying to do, I didn't have the family to rely on to kind of fund anything. So I decided, I went to Wells Fargo. I had a banking history with Wells Fargo. And at this time, I had quit the job. So I basically had given myself, and let me, rewind before I get to Wells Fargo. I basically decided to give myself a month or 2 months max. And I sat down, and every night I would basically work on a business model, a business plan. And a big shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. I used to watch all of his videos, all of his fucking videos. And I would try to learn as much as I possibly could from him, just how to approach business, how to approach the creative, how to approach the documentation, content creation, just really absorb as much as I could from him. And in March, the end of March of 2016, I started my company. I went online in Colorado and I registered the company's name and all of that stuff and got registered with the state of Colorado. And then I went to Wells Fargo. And I had a banking history with them, just from banking in college and stuff like that. So thankfully, I don't even remember the name of the banker, but knock on wood, thanks to her. Oh, that's my dog. Hey. So, knock on wood. My dog is barking over there. I had to restart this clip. I was banking with Wells Fargo for a long time, so I already had a history with them. And I had my company, I had my EIN. There's certain steps that you have to go through to like really start a business and have it be taxable and all of that stuff, and follow the correct steps to be able to get an accountant and file your taxes and to start a business. So I went through those steps, and I went to Wells Fargo, and I didn't have a huge savings. And because I had moved to Colorado, and then when I was living in Denver, I had to pay double rent because I took that job in southern Colorado and moved again. And I moved from the Denver area down to southern Colorado, paying for my room in the house outside of Denver, and then paying for my apartment in Colorado Springs because I couldn't do a 2-hour commute every single day. I did it for a little bit, and I couldn't do it, and I decided to move. So I moved down there, and I was living in Colorado Springs, paying double rent for this opportunity to try to give myself a shot with this company. And it was blowing through my savings. So I didn't move to Colorado as a college graduate with a huge savings. I graduated with some student debt, and I was trying to make the dollars stretch and be as responsible as I could be. And the money was going quickly because I had to pay rent twice, and I had to really figure out what was going on. So I started the company and bought like all the equipment and stuff that I needed on that Wells Fargo card. Again, if you can save up money and just like stash away and squirrel away money and just use cash, that's the much better way to do it. You end up paying way more in interest, obviously, when you use a credit card, and it's just not the best thing to use to start a business. But I didn't have another option to get the gear and the camera equipment and the lighting and everything that I needed to really get started. So I started the company when I was 23 in March of 2016 with a Wells Fargo credit card. And again, that's just like my disclaimer, a personal disclaimer to anybody. Like, if you're looking to start a business, it's not the best way to do it, but it just happened to be my way that I had to do it. So I was 23. I knew that I wanted to work for myself. I knew that I wanted to take photos. I knew I wanted to be involved in social media, and I knew what I was good at. And I took some time and really wrote up a business plan, again, taking that Gary Vee kind of model, trying to provide as much value with the companies that I tried to work with and did work with and do work with as much as I possibly can. That's really the basis of everything. Trying to provide as much value as you can, and if you're providing value and you're doing something that you like, hopefully eventually you'll get paid for it. And that's basically what happened to me. So I wrote that business plan. I came up with a really solid list of services, basically what some in business would call like a menu, a menu of kind of what your company can do for another business or what you can offer a client. And in terms of photography, that was social media management, that was content creation. There was a long list of things that I would bring to company owners saying, hey, this is what I can do. And that's really where it all started. So as crazy as this might sound, I ended up taking a meeting with that same company that I quit that previous job from. I ended up talking to the owner again, and we wanted to have another meeting, another follow-up meeting. So I leave in, call it February. March is when I'm giving myself, in March of 2016, I really gave myself 60 days to kind of make it work. I got the business card, I got my gear, I had a little bit of savings, like I said. I didn't have, some giant, family bank to go tap into or something like that. I had to make it work. So I gave myself 60 days saying, hey, I'm going to go and bust my ass and do whatever I have to do to get clients coming in and to get work coming in so that I can do this, so that I can get this started. So I took that meeting with the owner of that company, and him and I agreed to terms on my new business model and what my services were going to be. And basically, I wanted to handle all of their social media. I wanted to bring in extra photography. I wanted to handle their help them handle their marketing. I wanted to basically act as a consultant and do the things that I wanted to do for them as a full-time employee, but under my own company this time, and as a consultant and under different terms and under different guidelines, and basically on my own terms. So that's really where it got started. And I was 23 when I decided to make that happen, and I still remember like being nervous and like walking into his office and pitching my company and pitching, why they should pay me a monthly fee to provide XYZ and services for them. And I ended up, doing it. And in retrospect, deciding to start this business when I was 23 was the best choice I've ever made in my life. I work more than 100 hours a week easily, and I've never worked for something that meant more than working for myself, if that makes sense to you guys out there. So the 100 hours is easy for me to put in because I know that I'm doing it for me. It's work that I enjoy. I work with clients and companies that I like working with, and I'm very, very grateful that I've been able to continue my work and do my business and continue my business and have it in operation successfully, profitably, for the last 5 years. So I'm so grateful for that. And this year, coming up in 2022, will make 6 years of being in business. And thinking back on, how long I was in high school, how long I was in college, graduating from college, deciding to start the company, and then being able to turn it into what's been my full-time job for the last 5 years is really amazing. And I've been able to do it all based on really passion and doing things that I love. And I took that straight from Gary Vee. It's really trying to provide value, trying to find brands and companies and things that you love doing. And if you love doing it, then that's going to come out in your work. And then hopefully you'll be able to build on that and meet people and build connections and build your network and really start whatever you want to start. Whether you love cutting grass, whether you love flowers, whether you love baking, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you really love, you can create a business about. You just have to go about it the right way, try to make connections the right way, work with sincerity, work your ass off, work really, really hard, and eventually you'll get there. So I hope this video wasn't too boring for you guys. I know it wasn't like the normal video, I guess, talking about art and stuff like this cause guy on the table, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's really the background of how I started the company when I was 23. Now I'm 28. If you guys want to follow up to this video about what it's been like since I was 23 to now running a business, also please let me know. Hit those comments if you guys are interested in something like that. I'd love to make a part 2 kind of explaining what I've been doing from 23 to 28 to continue to operate the business. But this was a background of really where I got started, how I got started, moving from Philadelphia to Colorado, how I got started with photography and writing, how I got published for the first time, how that all kind of led to me being able to start my company, and now I've been operating that for 5 years. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys do me a huge favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, as everybody says, toss that like, whatever, notification bell, all that good fun stuff. Thank you guys so much. Until the next episode, much love. Peace.
It sound right, boys.